Hello, welcome to Skills Bootcamp Shorts. My name's MJ Flanagan and I'm from MJ Inspire. Today we're going to focus on using the coaching and mentoring wheel and the coaching notes that are in your guided leadership journal. Now remember, if you don't have one of those, pop down to the link in my script and you can pick one up from Amazon. It's the notebook, the daily notebook and planner that I wish that I had had for the last 35 years. So what did I do? I designed my own. So take a look at it. In the meantime, should we get started? Fantastic. So what is a coaching mentoring wheel? Well, it's based on a life coaching wheel, a great visual tool that you can use to get people to focus on key areas. Now, for this leadership short, we're really going to focus on the coaching, mentoring and performance elements of it, because you can actually use this for performance and helping your teams be even better. So how do you do it? Well, you can see there that there are 8 key spokes of the wheel, and you would build those spokes either by asking them what key behaviours or competencies do they think they should have in their role, or using a pre-existing set that you've already built for that role. Whichever one you use, it's really important to ask them, what does that mean to them? So for example, if we were to take team player, what does it mean to be an excellent team player? If you were brilliant at this, what would I see you doing? And what would I hear you saying? So that everybody's clear about the expectations. So that's the beginning, if you like, but then let's go into it in a bit more depth. Well, once you've defined those behaviours, you would then ask them to grade themselves on where they think they are now. Now, with life coaching, we would be against where they want to be, and they may not or think it realistic to be 10 all the way round. But in a role, you would expect them to be pretty rounded in all of those behaviours. And you can see the guide at the bottom. So 1 is, I don't know and I don't do, and that's fine, because if they don't know, you can teach them. 10 is, I don't only do it, I'm a role model and I teach others. And then 5 is, I know how to do it, but I'm really inconsistent. I don't do it very well. And then everything in between. Now, if you were having these conversations with them, once you start focusing on a particular element of that wheel, you would use the GROW model as the structure for your conversation. The GROW model is a core coaching skill, coaching formula, if you like, that's very common. And if you go to the back of your leadership, guided leadership journal, you'll find a little Insta-size guide to it. Now, what's important here is if you are their line manager, then you should also be doing that in terms of where you think their performance is. And then you can discuss it. Now, it might be that they think they're an 8 on something and you think they're a 6. And talk through why they think they're an 8, but maybe bring up some specific examples of where they may not have fulfilled that element of the role. And then explain that that's why you think they may be more like a 6. And it could be that you meet them halfway, because that way they're still motivated, they're still engaged. But what's most important here is that you talk about what they can do and what you can do to help them build their skills and support them. So here's one we prepared earlier. Now with this one, I've taken the example of IT. So firstly, you put the team member in. I usually use initials, not names, the date, and also who did it. So their line manager, me in this case. And then we had agreed on each of those behaviours and competencies. And then the blue dot is where they felt they were. Now, just to say that if you're mentoring somebody, You may not be their line manager, so you may not know where they are on this. So you wouldn't grade them. You would talk through where they think they are and how they are going to get to the next stage. And as a mentor, in your experience, what tools they could use to get there. Now, whether this is quarterly, monthly, 6-monthly or yearly, the great thing about this is it gives you a joined up conversation, because what you can do is keep going back to the real. And where they have mastered a particular behaviour, you can then move on to the next one and then start talking to them about that. Now, to actually go through all of them in one performance session, that's going to overload them. So the rule of thumb is, number one, acknowledge where they've done well. So on this occasion, it's design and product knowledge. And say, thank you, that's brilliant, and this is why. And I'd really like you to help others be as good as you are. Will you be my guru on this? But then you can either take where they are graded the lowest, so in this case brand standards, and talk through why that might be the case, and then what you can do and they can do to help improve in that area. It could be that they've got old brand standards and you need to update it. Or you believe that although brand standards are important, it's not the most crucial thing at the moment. That what is the most crucial is improving their planning. So actually you start talking about that and how they're going to get to a 9 or 10 on that. Now, what you want to do is that you want to keep that and give them a copy. Now, you can add a few notes to this, but what you'll see is that you have the coaching and mentoring summary notes. And you also can see a little mini picture there because you have an additional notes page in your notebook. And this really shows you how you would complete it. You know, you're going to put the date in, you're going to put initials of who you spoke to. If it's a predetermined number of sessions, often with mentoring, it might be 6 sessions. You might go 3 of 6. You're going to put the areas of focus. Now, the goal, remembering the GROW model here, could be their goal in mentoring. What would you like to talk about today? Or why don't you tell me about your week or your month? What's been your biggest challenge? Or the goal might be that you want to focus on, as their line manager, an area of their performance that you believe they could work on. Now, through those conversations, what might happen is another area of focus might come up that you don't have time to cover. So what you do is you add it to points to cover next time. And then before you meet them the next time, go through these notes, make yourself familiar and prepare yourself for the conversation. Now, what's also really important is whatever actions are being undertaken at the end of this, that they are clear what they are and that you've also explored any barriers that might stop them from doing it. Now, as a rule, a coach or a mentor wouldn't really have any actions, but a performance line manager might have. Perhaps they've got an outdated copy of brand standards and you need to send them a new one. But mostly the actions are going to be theirs. Now, what's really important here is that these conversations, they may be controversial, they are confidential. So it's not something that you would keep in your notebook. So you've got 2 options here. Number 1, you can photocopy the template. You can have the conversation using the notes pages and then you file it in their HR personnel file. Or you scan it and you put it in their online file and then you destroy it. Shredder, please, not screwed up in the bin. But, you know, you don't want these things lying around because that would be unfair to your coach or mentee. Now, before I go, I know it makes this session a little bit longer, but I want to show you something else I use it for. Over the years, I have found myself in a situation where I've had 2 people in a role applying for the same promotion. And we know that only one of them is going to get it and one of them is going to be disappointed. So what I do is I talk to them about their current role and where they are in that. But then I talk to them about the behaviours or the competencies in a new role. For example, they've still got to be a team player, but they might now need to be a team leader. So that might be that they have to start managing a little bit of performance. They might have to coach somebody. They may have to take on some admin roles. And so it's a slightly different role. Now, what you do is you go through this and think where they think they are now in their ability to do it or learn it. Now, supposing Fred got the job, but Billy didn't. You can sit down with Billy and say, look, I know that you didn't get this role and you must be really disappointed. What I'd like to do is show you why and help you build those gaps in your knowledge, in your skills, so that should a vacancy arise again, now listen carefully here, you would be more likely to be in the running for it. I haven't promised them the role. Now, if you're going to do that though, you've got to keep your promise and start using these competency wheels, these behaviour wheels, to help teach them some of those new behaviours through delegation, through coaching. Now, I'm not going to say that Billy isn't going to be upset. Of course he is, but you might not lose him. So there you are, a quick run through how to use the coaching and mentoring wheel and the notes pages. Now, if you want some more in-depth knowledge, why don't you go to my website and have a look at the Skills Bootcamp schedule. Now, that's Skills Bootcamp Shorts Big Brother. 90 minutes of online learning that informs, involves and inspires. And we just go through it in a lot more depth. Or, don't forget, we also run bespoke programs where we do full day coaching, where people actually practice those coaching skills. In the meantime, good luck with your team. Go buy the journal if you haven't already. Comment, subscribe, and most importantly, take care.